What creepy cults that brainwash people should we be more aware of? Please like and subscribe to support this channel. The Japanese cult Happy Science. Why do all the crazy cults have science in their name? Their premise is peace, love, and all that bullshit, yet they have a political party that has some of the craziest war ideas and even denies major events like the Nanjing massacre. Yes, they are so big that they even have a Japanese political party. I accidentally walked into one of these temples in Japan, thought it was a bookshop, which it was on the bottom floor, but then you walk upstairs into an idol worship room. Closing parenthesis. The Japanese religion worships El Cantere, a supreme spiritual being that their leader claims to be an incarnation of. While I was in said temple, I was forced to drink coffee, like what the fuck? Exorcised of demons and negative energy, and given a spiritual gift of communication, whatever that means. Closing parenthesis. The latter two being performed by a priest in a crazy cult outfit with a crazy cult-like gold dagger and gold hourglass, while a whole bunch of Happy Science members walked in with their cult necklaces. Oh, and when I did get out of there, they gave me a flyer, the best part of which is that it said their leader Okawa could channel the spirits of various people past and present, including Jesus Christ, Buddha, and President Barack Obama. They also apparently are spreading not worldwide. This needs to stop. Fox News. Hear me out. If you've ever watched Fox News, you'll notice they talk a lot about the mainstream media, as though they're not a part of it. They work very hard to inoculate their viewers against any other sources of information that might hurt their ultra-conservative narrative. Rush Limbaugh and his ilk are offered as sources of information and evidence. The purpose is to lock people into a funnel of propaganda. It results in people who scoff at NPR and PBS as news sources, when they're actually the best, most balanced news available. It causes people to say, PFAW, everybody knows that newspapers are liberal. It causes them to hold patently false beliefs and to doubt experts. There's a segment of conservatism that is a cult, and Fox News is the chanting preacher on the dais. Ramtha's School of Enlightenment. Very creepy cult that is based in the next town over from the one I grew up in. Basically, this lady says she channels the warrior Ramtha and spews out batshit crazy stuff like how when Mount Rainier erupts, lizard people will escape from it. You can see her ranch from an old highway, and her barns are plated in copper with very expensive chandeliers in them and all the works. It's really unsettling. You have to pay thousands for her school, and it's hard to walk away from it. People leave their families and lives behind to be able to keep paying for her classes. My cousin used to be a Ramster. He doesn't talk about it much, but he did say that the way you get sucked in is very Charles Manson-esque. Lots of LSD, nudity, and just weirdness. This was in the 90s though. I don't know if the cult still draws people in that way anymore. ATI, Advanced Training Institute, founded by Bill Gothard. Extremely conservative homeschooling group that is extremely patriarchal. The members treated Gothard as God and took his word about anything. They had several locations where families worked there, mostly unpaid, and were required to follow the rules set by the leader. I prefer to call them compounds, as you had to sign in and out if you wanted to leave so that the leadership knew where you were at all times. No televisions allowed, very restricted internet access, and all meals had to be had together at a specific time. Gothard always kept young, beautiful women as his assistants, and families gladly sent their daughters to work, unpaid, for him. He was sued for sexual assault by many of those girls afterwards. How do I know all this? My family was a part of this organization for years, and lived in one of their compounds for a stint. 2 of my sisters were sent to their headquarters to be groomed to be assistants. Thankfully, one of them left as soon as she turned 18, had extended family come pick her up, and the other was sent home because she bought a ripstick and it was considered unladylike. Fuck Gothard. Fuck ATI. Buddhafield. Lasted 22 years until it was revealed the leader was sexually and psychologically abusing several male members of the cult, and also required female members to have abortions if they got pregnant. The original cult fell apart, but the leader is gradually collecting new followers. To warn people away, ex-members even made a documentary called Holy Hell. It's a great watch if you have time. Honestly, Jehovah's Witnesses. For decades, thousands of kids have been molested and they do not believe in contacting the police about it. People are getting sick and dying without blood transfusions. And once you're in, it's almost impossible to get out. You will be shunned and your family will be forbidden from speaking to you. If you even disagree with the doctrine after joining, they actually teach that you are mentally diseased. Thank God someone asked this finally. Now I can drop some truth without having to derail a thread. I worked for about 10 years as an archaeologist, though I have recently moved into paleontology, and some of the bullshit that people believe in is beyond me. In the field of archaeology, the ancient Egyptians had a metric shitload of gods, approximately 1.45 imperial shitloads for those of you that believe in freedom. Just because you read a book on Egyptology that only mentioned Bastet, Osiris, and Ammit the Croc if you're lucky, does not make you an expert. Just off the top of my head, some of the lesser-known gods are Jaspel the raven god in control of milk production, Nepos the half-son of the jackal god Anubis, in control of both sand and the sounds that occur at night, and Thimel the invisible god of waste and a well-balanced diet. Sacrifice was a reasonable aspect of this culture, it was an honor that must be upkept. If you're going to preach about how you think that this ancient tradition still holds a lot of weight, do some damn research. Similarly, if you are going to get a Mayan sun disk tattooed onto any part of your body, please, for all things sacred, offer a blood sacrifice to Azcotantal. Before joining a cult, you should probably find out about the mandatory blood-letting to induct Paradas into the flesh seal. Lastly, not really cult-related, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon have ceased to be a mystery for years now. It's fairly well documented at this point that the gardens were not so much a physical place, as a state of mind, that was only able to be reached when the second stage of enlightenment was entered, such that the heart was pure and the mind was quick. But please, continue to tell me how they were transported into another dimension by aliens. TLDR, ancient cults that you don't understand are bad, MK. Edit. Removed the fun fact about dinosaurs. Sorry, I got distract. Hashtag DUE to popular DEMANDEDIT2. Rafe Dangerous. Noodles 1919. Ginger Scruff and anyone else who sees this. Prepare yourselves for a pretty fucking underwhelming couple of dino facts. And now a fun few from the field of paleontology. A lot of people know by this point that the Brontosaurus never existed, and was simply a result of the so-called Bone Wars. But there are other dinosaurs whose likelihood of being real is similarly tenuous, such as the Pleisiodon and the Allosaurus. The Velociraptor was tiny and hermaphroditic. The Stegosaurus likely only had 2 or max 3 spinal plates and actually had more around its shoulders and buttocks. The Pteropodon was probably the king of the dinosaurs, the T-Rex being made more for striking fear and looking cool on t-shirts, but being essentially useless. It was pretty much the posh spice of the dinosaur world. Lastly, the Triceratops actually had 3 horns as a minimum, with some being recorded to have as many as 10. Obviously these are rare and not often shown in museum pieces. Beach body fitness. Like Jesus Christ, my mom is obsessed with them and their workout programs and pays so much money for shit you could just look up on YouTube. Plus they have these things that help you start your own business, and have meetings with speakers who built their business and make millions a year, but they are really only there to encourage them to try to keep making their own businesses. It's just stupid. And working out and getting help for losing weight and stuff is definitely a positive for anyone, but you don't need to spend damn near $400-something on their products like Jesus. The LDS or Mormon Church. If you do something they don't like, your parents and family and spouse and friends are told to stop talking to you and to disown you until you return. Every year your pastor will sit you down with your tax records, and if you didn't donate the correct amount they will lecture you and say you have to pay them correct amount or get ostracized. If you are gay, everyone will pretend that you are not and force straight standards on you. I mean, the list goes on how terrible the church is. Disclaimer, the people are always nice and friendly. It's when you add the church that it gets feed up. The Quiverful movement is fucking scary. Some Amish communities could qualify too. Especially the types where it's so secluded half the people are mentally retarded because of inbreeding. We have a rather large Mennonite community where I am, but from what I've seen, they're pretty great. I mean, I'm openly lesbian and am really good friends with a lot of them. We discuss each other's religions a lot. I'm a practicing heathen who has no understanding of Christianity or its many versions. So, at least there's some non-culty versions. Landmark education. They make you attend seminars and classes, which you pay for, to help you realize your potential. They make you examine your life and make drastic changes, then go out and recruit others. Absolutely the most cultish thing I have ever come into contact with. Lost a girlfriend to it about 15 years ago. They sucked her in via her business school classes. She then tried to recruit her brother and I. At that point we were already having problems, I had had enough and split. Zero regrets. Campus Crusade for Christ. Sometimes called CRU or CCC. It's a Christian men's organization popular on many college campuses, and it's basically a cult. I went to a Methodist school and it wasn't super Christian or anything, an ordinary college really. But CRU was something different. It had a lot of respect among campus management because local pastors it was Christian, but a bad reputation among students who weren't into that stuff. I still remember it vividly, freshman year, first week of college, going to the organization fair because I was excited to join some kind of club or something. I guess I looked lost or alone, and someone who wasn't with any of the regular clubs approached me and started talking about this men's club. Being that I was a practicing Catholic at the time, I decided to try it out. First meeting they talked about nothing other than masturbation and how evil it was. Just met these people and first thing they ask is how frequently I jack off. After several meetings, I'll admit they had me feeling really bad about myself, convinced I was just an awful and depraved person. They wanted to control every aspect of my life, only associate with other members of CRU. Always let CRU know where you're going and who you're with. You had to show your laptop's browser history, and it had better not be cleared at each meeting, and definitely no association with women for any reason. And for a while, I actually did all this. Well, I didn't mean for this to be a long story. Snapped out of it. Realized I was being manipulated and brainwashed, stopped going to their meetings. I didn't start calling myself an atheist until many years later, but in hindsight my experience with CRU was the first time I saw religion as being harmful. And in later years I realized, that's how they prey on naive and impressionable kids. They get them in before they've had a chance to make other friends. I was exactly the gullible fool they were scouting for. The president of the club was only a student by technicality. He never graduated and just takes the minimum number of classes to be considered a student. He just stays in college to run that club, and was in his 30s. In my later years of college, many of us experienced cases of losing friends to CRU. Once they joined that, you wouldn't hear from them again unless they left the club. From what I hear, it also runs into money after a while, like a lot of money, and it works kind of like a pyramid scheme. The teachers group. All those Planet Aid donation bins for you to drop off used clothes? They're being sold to fund a dangerous cult called the teachers group. The money is going directly into the leaders' pockets. They do this common salary thing where they pay a salary to their members working overseas, and then take all that money back, basically just a form of money laundering. And their programs haven't done anything they say they're going to do, despite receiving millions in grant money to help develop struggling countries. They are a huge fraud, and a huge cult. Don't donate your used clothes to Planet Aid. Banker's Life. It's a MLM company but, for Medicare insurance supplements for seniors. Everyone I know who has ever posted their resume on any of the major job websites in this area has received spam calls from Banker's Life. These callers will straight up lie about available positions, accounting, office manager, admin, to get you in for an interview. Once you show up for the interview, it's always an insurance sales position. You have to pay hundreds of dollars for an insurance certification and it's nothing but cold calling and door-knocking seniors. Then when you do manage to sell something, I've heard they take out tons of ridiculous fees. My mom fell for the phone call scam and went in for an interview. It was a waste of her time. These people are like cultist leeches.